Persons.
The person refers to the role that they play in a conversation. Or the person who's doing the talking is said to be the first person. Me, I. The second person is the one to whom the talking is being done. I'm talking to you, therefore you hold the position of second person. And the third person is the one who's not in the conversation, but the conversation actually includes that person, but is not part of the conversation. He's neither doing the talking nor doing the listening, but rather being spoken about as the third person. There's a way of people talking in which they refer to themselves in third person. Like for instance, if instead of saying I am talking to you, I say something like Reginald is talking to you. I'm referring to myself, but instead of using the first person, I'm actually talking as if I'm talking about somebody else. Reginald is talking to you. Reginald is hungry. See, that's when we sometimes say a person is referring to themselves in third person.
Before we proceed, please remember to like and share this video, and kindly subscribe to the channel for more educational content like this.
Now, if you remember, when we discussed our pronouns, we did mention seen as a subject or an object in a sentence. We say it's a subject when he is the one who's causing the action to happen, the doer of the action. We say that person who's causing that action to take place is the subject of the sentence. The one upon whom the action is being done is the object of the sentence. So when we say here that I want to talk to you, or I am talking to you, it basically means that I am doing the action, you is the one upon whom the action of talking is being done. The action is being done on you. So you is the subject, or rather the object, then I is the subject. So what we said here is that the pronoun changes depending on whether the person in question is the subject or the object of the sentence. So if it's the subject, first person singular, takes the pronoun I. I want him. And then if the sentence is in reverse in such a way that the first person now is not the subject, we're talking about me. I say he wants me. So we notice there that we use the pronoun as me, not as I. And the possessive, of course, for the first person singular is my or mine. This is mine. It belongs to me.
First person plural.
But in plural, this is ours. It belongs to us. It is our glass. As an object of the sentence, we use us. You're talking to us, or we are talking to you. If it's the subject, we.
Second person singular.
Right, the second person is you there. Notice now how both the singular and plural are the same for you. Right? There's a theory that there used to be a different
second person plural.
Actually, if you look at old English, Elizabethan English, or Shakespeare's English, it's sometimes called, we see that we used to have a different singular and plural for you. Plural was thou, and singular is thee. The plural form of you was used so much so that to the point that the singular form eventually died out. So we don't really have a singular form for you. So that is why it looks like the singular and plural are the same word. To make your life easier, let's just say we use the same word for singular and plural. And the best part about the second person is that even when we're talking as an object or subject, it's still going to be you. You are talking. I am talking to you. You see, whether it's the object, it's the subject, whether it's singular, it's plural, it's all the same. The possessive, yes, this is your lesson. This lesson belongs to you. The lesson is yours. Right? Whether I'm talking to one person or to many people.
Third person singular.
And then finally, with the third person, like we said, it's the person about whom you're talking, the one who's not really there in the conversation. So here we see, we can say he or she or it, right? Because as we said when we were discussing gender in another lesson, English is sensitive when it comes to gender. But if it's the object, it's him or her. I'm talking to him, or I'm talking to her, or I'm talking to it if it's something that's genderless, or if you're trying to create a situation where it's genderless. He is talking to me, she is talking to me, it is talking to me, or it is barking at me if it's something else.
Third person plural.
But sometimes now, to avoid the gender issue, we are allowed in English to actually use the plural form to refer to a singular, them. Right? You can actually talk about a singular entity using the plural there, because you're trying to do away with the gender element. Especially if you don't know what the gender of the subject or the object is. You find a letter written there, you say, okay, somebody wrote me this letter, but you don't know who wrote it. So you cannot say, he said I should come at 8, or you cannot say, she said I should come at 8. So you can just simply say, they said I should come at 8, even though you know it's a single person. So that's where now we use the plural to represent a singular, because of the issue of the gender. Alternatively, you can say he or she said, which can sound a bit complex and tongue-twisting and complicated. So to make your life easier, we sometimes just use the plural, like I said, they said, or it belongs to them. We can use the plural to mean plural, or we can use the plural to mean singular in the case where we don't want to actually use gender, the third person.
Voices.
Well, the voice is a form of verb indicating the relationship between the participant, the object and the subject, right? And the narrated event. So in other words, we're going to see that we've got what's called an active voice, which is what we normally use under normal circumstances. All these examples that I've been given right now are using the active voice.
Active voice.
Where you actually specify the person who actually did the action, right? And we say that the action, or the doer of the action, actually acts on the action. What does that mean? We create a relationship. The statement is such that the doer of the action, the subject, owns the action. I am the one who is doing it. So I'm going to say, I'm the one who's talking. So I'm going to say, I talk. Or I am giving you this lesson.
Passive voice.
It's different from the passive voice, where in the passive voice now, that voice does not emphasize the doer of the action. Instead, the action just appears to be done. And sometimes we can throw in the by the doer towards the end of the sentence. So, I am given the lesson. That's active. That's how we normally talk. And passive would say the lesson has been given. We don't emphasize who gave the lesson. The lesson has been given. So it's optional. Alternatively, we can at the end include the lesson has been given by Reginald. Lesson has been given by. You see, we can actually include that towards the end, but we can leave it without even specifying. We can just say the assignment was written. So this is the voice that's normally used in academic writing, the passive voice, where you're not trying to show that a particular individual, a particular entity is the one responsible for the action. Our emphasis is on the fact that the action has taken place, but not necessarily who actually created that action or caused that action to take place.
Conclusion.
If I may go back a bit, if you look at the active voice here, we see situations where the subject is emphasized or included in the statement. I wrote the assignment. Now, I should be able to go back and identify the different parts of speech that are there in the statement. I. That is a pronoun for first person singular. Right? I wrote. Wrote is a verb. That is to say, the main verb of the sentence. And in the assignment, we see that the over there is an article, the definite article, which falls under determiners. If you remember the determiners, we said that they used to be considered to be adjectives. They are no longer adjectives. So the determiner there is actually just determining the final word in that sentence there, being the object. That noun assignment there is the object. So remember, the determiner goes just before the noun. So there we have it. I wrote the assignment. There are lots of things that you can actually pick out from that little sentence there. We can see the determiner. We can also see the tense. What tense is that in? We can see this past simple tense. Oh, we can also see that the verb I wrote the assignment is actually in transitive form, because at the end we actually show what the action is being done on the assignment. I wrote the assignment, so it's a transitive verb, as opposed to just saying Raphael drove. You don't say Raphael drove what, right? So we see there that it's intransitive. It doesn't tell us what was driven by Raphael. It's also in past simple tense. I just wanted to show that a lot of the examples which are used there, a lot of things can be learnt or can be picked up in any sentence. Just because the example was used to show tense, it doesn't necessarily mean that the same sentence cannot be used to show mood or to show anything else.
Like this video and subscribe to this channel for more such content.